So this is my creativity, action, and service presentation. I got most of my service hours at Central State Medical Center, and I volunteer there specifically in the patient transport department. And what I do there is it's pretty self-explanatory. They give you tasks to move either like a patient or a stretcher or something like that from one area of the hospital to another. And this involved like a lot of working with other people since a lot of the times you had to bring more than one thing or the stretcher was too big for one person alone. So that's essentially what I did there. Overall, I learned a lot by doing this activity. One of the things I learned about was the importance of working well with a group, since there's a lot of times that a task might be too big for a single individual, so it's important to be able to work with others so that you can get larger things done. Another thing is that I learned about was how individual tasks can contribute to the greater whole, so you need to make sure that even if your part seems really small or negligible, you still do it since it will have an effect later. And I also learned that it's important to be dedicated and helpful throughout this process. So, this activity affected me in multiple ways. One of these ways was that it made me a more regimented person in general. It also made me more consistent with my actions. And like I stated previously, it made me realize how every small job is still important to the greater whole, and it also made me realize the importance of working together. Okay, so regarding the different CAS objectives, for the first one, it says work collaboratively with others. So like I said before, that's something I definitely had to do since a lot of the tasks you had to work with other people since it was too big for one person to do by themselves. And the second one, regarding showing perseverance and commitment in your activities, this is something I did as well since Center State requires you to come at a specific time and leave at a specific time and make sure that all your stuff is done effectively and done correctly. So that's something I was able to do. And the last one says undertake new challenges, and that one I also did since patient transport and this kind of work was not something I'd done previously. It was definitely something completely new to me. So even though it had a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning, I was able to kind of overcome the challenge, I guess, and kind of get comfortable with it. Okay, so for my creativity hours, I got most of them from playing a new instrument, the drums. So overall for this activity, what I learned was that it's important to have some kind of creative outlet. And I also learned about the significance of practicing, since the more you practice, it makes it easier to reinforce the skills you already have, and to get better. Okay, so for the CAS objectives, the first one that I think applies is develop new skills, and the reason that I think this one applies is that for me to play this instrument, I had to develop skills that I did not have before since I really had no previous experience with this instrument. And for the second one is increase their awareness of their own strengths and areas for growth. And I think this one applies is throughout the process I was kind of able to get a feel for what required more effort for me to master and what came more naturally. So it kind of gave me an ability to assess my own strengths and weaknesses. Ultimately, I think that this process was pretty valuable to me for a couple of reasons. The first being that it allowed me to understand things about myself that I may not have known previously, and the second being that it made me try new things that I otherwise may not have tried. So overall, it was a pretty useful, pretty impactful process.